Clash Royale is one of the most popular games for mobile phones, and it's clear to see why. The concept is very interesting. A strategy PvP where it's all about deck customization, proper card placements, and elixir management. Or so it seems. If you haven't ever played this game, or just haven't played in a while, you might not know that recently the Clash Royale community has grown quite the distaste for the game. Not because the game itself is inherently horrible, but rather within the last year or so, there seems to be a lack of care which is causing the game to fall apart. This rift is not only being voiced by the casual community, which is usually the case, but many Clash Royale pro players and content creators are sharing the exact same grievances. So in this video, I looked over all the popular complaints, compiled them, and will give a summary as to the causes of Clash Royale's fall from grace. So let us answer the question, what happened to Clash Royale? But before we begin, please make sure to like and subscribe, as that would mean a lot to me, and comment below your biggest grievance with the game. For about a year now, the entire community has noticed a negative spiral for the game, which proved to be much worse than any negative decision that the game had made in the past. Normally, when a bad decision had been made, the community would complain, and to its credit, Supercell would fix the issue. Along with this, they really did put a lot of effort in the game. They tried to release fun cards, fix interactions for competitive play, and even release plenty of content in their updates, which helped the game thrive on platforms like YouTube. However, in the past year, it seems all these previously listed virtues had dried up and the community voiced their concern. The main individual for this was a YouTuber by the name B-Rad, who released the video, The Disgusting Monetization of Clash Royale, and it was received very positively. But B-Rad and the rest of the player base had hoped that they would soon revitalize themselves. A year later, however, and there has been no substantial change since that time. Because of this, B-Rad released another video titled Clash Royale has failed its players, and this video went over examples of all his grievances and overall had a much more negative tone from the first video. This video broke the camel's back, so to speak, and just about everyone realized that Supercell truly has not done anything to quell the issues which were voiced by the player base, and they have begun to make their own videos and posts really reprimanding the game and the company. After examining plenty of videos and Reddit posts, it really comes down to three main issues, and the first is that it feels as though the devs have lost the passion for working on the game. An entire year has passed, and we haven't really received any new content. This of course hurts the YouTubers and streamers because they've had nothing significant to post about for over a year, but it hurts the common player as well because playing the same thing over and over with no change is boring and gets dull. The updates should give something to look forward to, a way to break the mold and try something new. The closest thing released to new content is the Goblin's Journey, but even that didn't have the quality of enjoyment for the player base. The majority of the updates that it has released has been very subpar and appear to be void of any effort that the game once did have. But this gets even worse because almost all players are afraid of the game getting updated because of the next point for the game's downfall, monetization. When I mean monetization, I don't mean a little payment for your own personal cosmetic satisfaction. I mean a type of monetization which completely overhauls the competitiveness of the game. The game is very pay to win, meaning that if you want to be good at the game and enjoy it for the skill of the matches, then Clash Royale isn't for you. To have a fair playing field within the game, you better be willing to spend hundreds of dollars every single update so that you can get the highest level cards, the strongest towers, and the newest and shiniest evolution. If you aren't willing to do this, then you will never be a competitive player. This is an issue given by not just the casual players, but even the pro players themselves, saying that they need to pay hundreds of dollars every month just to be able to keep up. The reason people are afraid of updates is because every update there is no new content that is added. Only new evolutions are added. New towers are added. Not just any evolutions and towers, but the most advantageous ones to date. Of course, all these cards are not immediately available for free-to-play players. They must be bought within the shop, which gets bigger and bigger every single update. And keep in mind, they make these newly released cards overpowered on purpose to force you to buy them. If a new evolution or tower comes out too weak, they will immediately do what is called an emergency buff. However, if the opposite is true, they will not do an emergency nerf until weeks later so that they can maximize on purchases. And when the cards do eventually get nerfed, you can be sure that the prices follow. But at that point, the damage has been done. Payments already processed. And soon enough, the next update is inbound, ready for another shop offer update. The final and quite frankly the main issue is with Supercell itself. Obviously, being their own game, they have oversight to all the decisions and ability to hear the fan base's pleas. As I stated earlier, these issues have been going on for over a year now, and make no mistake, the devs and the teams working on Clash Royale are very aware of the desires and grievances of the player base. However, even with this knowledge, they continue to do what they are still doing at the expense of their loyal fans. All this to say that it's not that they can't hear your suggestions, it's that they choose not to listen to your suggestions. Content creators are obviously in a very special position since many of them have direct access to the teams working on Clash Royale, and as such they can give feedback and ideas for improvements. However, when they do, they are always ignored, as if they, the content creators who play the game for a living, have no idea what they are talking about. Of course, this way of thinking is flawed, since a content creator has more insight into not only the game, but a direct ear to the fan base as a whole. They generally have very deep and knowledgeable insights to the strengths and weaknesses of the game, as well as the wants and needs of the player base. But at least Supercell has access to the data of the players playing the game and can make informed decisions from there, can't they? Well, unfortunately not. An example of this was when the team noticed that all the players were upgrading their cards when playing the game, and as such they assumed that the retention time of the players was based on upgrading cards, and that players just enjoyed upgrading cards, and as such they added the impossibly larger gap of upgrading cards to level 15 to maintain player retention. Of course, they failed to realize that players do not like upgrading cards, but rather card levels give an incredible advantage, and in order to equal the playing field, they needed max level cards as well. So not only was their reading of the data highly flawed, they failed to listen to the grievance of the entire fanbase in the process, as it was pretty much unanimously looked down upon. And of course, sticking to the theme of monetization, if you did want to upgrade your cards to level 15 without maintaining any retention, you could just buy the elite cards in the shop, so goes to show how much they actually care about audience retention. And the worst thing that Supercell has allegedly done is abuse the copyright system on YouTube as well as other public platforms to silence criticism. Allegedly, they have gone out of their way to copy strike smaller channels who made criticisms to their games such as Clash of Clans, and these strikes are no jokes. In fact, they can lead to the termination of entire channels. And disputing a strike is no easy matter, as it would need to be taken to court, and smaller channels have no funds to deal with that. Of course, these strikes not only get rid of that criticism, which they forcefully took down, but also strikes fear into the hearts of anyone else who dares to think of making a video criticizing Supercell. So what happened to Clash Royale? Why is the game starting to die and receive a lot of hate? Well, it's because for about a year, Supercell has stopped caring for the game and stopped making new and enjoyable content. Instead, they focus on the monetization of the game, which forces players to spend hundreds of dollars every update just to stay competitive, while actively going out of their way to not listen to any feedback from players or creators who just love the game. And allegedly, they even go as far as to copy strike people who make videos criticizing their games. But the next question is, can Clash Royale come back? In my opinion, I think they can, but it would take a lot of work in order to rebuild trust with the fan base, as well as an entire overhaul of their current system. They need to focus less on the wallets of the players, but rather the enjoyment of the players. But that is all I have for you today. If you enjoyed, please make sure to like and subscribe, and comment below what you think of my assessment, as I'd love to hear it. And with all that out the way, I hope you all have a great day, and peace out.